This episode of the ZuLoo Pōōdcast is sponsored by ZuLoo Inc., a benefit corporation dedicated to the goal of universal access to toilets, hygiene, clean water and sanitation through the power of social enterprise. Learn more at ZuLoo.com.
Right, so we went down and ate dinner, and I was about halfway through campus, right? And oh man, it was coming, right? And I would push the wheelchair, and then I would stop because, you know, if I kept walking, it was going to come. And so she would kind of look around. Oh, Darren, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay.
Welcome to the ZuLoo Pōōdcast, where we talk all things poop, toilets, and sanitation. Through insightful news, impact stories, and quirky humor, we aim to discuss and highlight the critical role toilets play in whisking poop out of our lives, the impact toilets have, or lack thereof, in the health and wellness of humanity, and what ZuLoo is doing to help solve the current global sanitation crisis.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us on the ZuLoo Pōōdcast. We're excited. Today's a special episode. Kelsey's off today, but we have two ZuLoo veterans in the house on the Pōōdcast.
In the house.
And we're excited to have them on the show. We've got Melissa Sevy and Chris Padilla. Say hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello. Hey, Darren, what's up?
What's up? We appreciate you guys coming on the show. Boy, so much to talk about when it comes to poop and sanitation. But yeah, so Chris, you've been traveling around. We've been trying to track you down, and then Melissa, you've been running a company called Ethik Collective and having a baby. And what have you been doing lately?
Changing lots of diapers.
Yeah.
Just to bring some relevance here.
Oh, there you go. So poop is a daily experience you get to
absolutely
navigate. Nice.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you somehow run a company, Ethik Collective. I don't know how you do that with the other. You got diaper in one hand and running the company in the other. Is that how it works?
Yeah. That's putting it simple. Yeah,
got it. Okay. Yeah.
It's just a two-handed thing.
Yeah. What's the latest with Ethik?
We're growing. We're reaching out to more artisans. We actually work with several artisan groups in India. So that's fun. Our ZuLoo roots run deep in India. So
that's right. And we just had Sean on the show a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So
Her brother.
is there anything? Yeah, her brother. Is there anything you'd like to refute what Sean said or correct, clarify? I mean, he said you walked on water and, you know, he was unworthy to be in your shadow. I don't know if he says that to you in person.
Only when I pay him. So he got a check and it's all good now. So
he got the Venmo. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, not a check. It was Venmo.
So it's all true. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Sean went off and talked about, you know, the 2011 trip to India, and which I didn't realize that you were the one who invited him over, because he had this sort of nirvana experience where he was searching for his soul, and all of a sudden you called him up and said, "Hey, come to India. We've got this project called Soilet."
Yep.
And he found his soul somehow in that trip. No, that's what he said.
No, I remember it was kind
a
of
life-changing experience for him.
Like, I called him thinking that he'd be like, "That's ridiculous," you know. And he was like, he was so prepped for that conversation. Was like, "Yeah, I'll come to India."
Yeah.
Like,
were you shocked? You were like, this engineer brain's never gonna drop everything and head to India.
He's a pretty practical guy.
Yeah.
So
Super
him
smart.
just like saying, "Yeah, let's go to India. Let's build some toilets." It was pretty cool. And it was so fun.
Super cool.
We had so much fun.
I'm having deja vu right now because I met Melissa separately than Darren, and I was having poo conversation with Darren, and then I was talking.
Yeah, you introduced me to Melissa.
I was talking with Melissa about poo, about this exact trip.
Mhm.
I'm like, there's no way. Like, and she showed me this picture of her with like her hands full of earthworms.
Yeah,
and,
that's true. That
Yeah,
was
that's
my
a
profile
classic photo.
picture.
and I was like,
about that.
hold on a second. Like, we need to connect you guys. And so it's just been really funny to think about. I just had deja vu 100%. I forgot.
I know
about
that first photo you showed. Oh yeah, this is Melissa, and it was literally you were like, you had the biggest smile on your face with a big. We should totally find that photo and superimpose it.
Oh man.
Yeah,
on,
like
on
that
the show.
photo.
But you like,
But it's full of earthworms, and it was just like, at first you looked at it and it's like, is that a big pile of poo right there? And then you zoom in, it's like, no, that's a big thing of earthworms in poo.
right.
Even better.
No, it was dirt.
No, I'm just kidding.
But when you look at like Darren's passion for trying to figure out how to make change within the poo industry, and then thinking about how we can actually make it happen, it was awesome to come together with Melissa and go, oh, like there's an opportunity here to do that.
Yeah.
And you guys together, like we went on that trip to India, and it was like for Sean, same thing for me, and I think all of us, it was
Right.
like a spiritual experience where we were like, hold on, it's like this is a real need that we could actually feel and see. You
Right.
know, it was really awesome. But
Yeah. Yeah, 2011, and then you went back in 2014 with Sean, right?
No, I didn't go with him that time.
Oh, you didn't go with him. He just went on his own.
Yeah.
Okay, got
Yep.
it. And then we did the 2019 as ZuLoo together.
Yeah.
That was fun.
So fun. And it is kind of amazing. Like, let's take a step back from poop talk.
Yeah.
And just that it is like kind of remarkable that we had started this project in 2011 and had incredible partners in India, SAPID,
yeah.
7 amazing women that work, day in and day out in these slum communities
Right.
and one of their big projects that they've taken on is
Soilets.
bringing these toilets to people in the community, and that we now have connected with ZuLoo, and now ZuLoo has continued this project is pretty remarkable, actually.
It's pretty cool. You know, you said meeting these women, and Mira came on the show, and she was talking about how much it means to them, and just their energy and how much they give. It's awesome to feel part of it, right? And I think ZuLoo, it's fun to still keep doing it. So 2023 trip to India, is that what I'm hearing? Yeah.
It sounds like it. Yeah. It's funny. I'm on Facebook Messenger and also with WhatsApp with Mira, and so she's very quick to respond, and have some projects ongoing in India. And also we were talking on the last show about Peru. It seems like the same soilet systems are going to be applicable in Peru as well.
Cool.
Chris and I are going to Nigeria in November.
For the World Toilet.
Against our better judgment, maybe. But we're going to Nigeria for the World Toilet Summit. And
you could hop over to Ghana.
If you want to come on over.
Oh.
Come on over.
Yeah,
okay.
And let's go to Ghana and let's go check out.
And meet Kweku.
That would be awesome.
You might as well. We're in Nigeria.
Inventor.
It's like next door, right?
Yeah. The man himself that invented the soilet.
Yeah.
We
should totally
could do a Pōōdcast from Ghana with Kweku.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'd love to do that.
Pretty cool.
So yeah, Jack Sim, he's been on the show a few times and invited us to come to the World Toilet Summit. So
awesome.
It was going to be in Tokyo. Tokyo is not quite ready. So Nigeria stepped up and is doing it. So anyway, we're excited.
That'll be cool.
Anyway, usually on the Pōōdcast, we do what we call a snap poll, which is like a quick series of questions. Sometimes we do news, but we want to do a quick snap poll, and you can say yes or no or decline to answer the question.
Uh-oh.
You can also pass, like, okay, I'll pass, give it some thought. But one question we like to find out about toilet habits. A lot of people are curious about toilet habits, especially famous people like you, ZuLoo veterans, been around the block. You're daily changing diapers, you're building toilets in India.
I use the toilet every day.
And you use it every day.
Yeah,
every
So
day.
you're a pro,
Yeah.
right? So when you're in a public restroom situation, do you lay toilet paper down or are you just going bare bum?
Lay it down, definitely. That was
Lay
like
it down.
one big lesson. My mom was pretty adamant about that.
So you lay down. I've heard this term nesting. Somebody mentioned nesting, like they'll not just one layer, but multiple layers.
Oh.
Like they build a little nest.
Yeah, I think it depends on how much time I feel like I have to be able to go to the bathroom.
But at least one
one layer.
The environmental side of me only does one layer.
Oh, okay. So it's not a germ thing. And I know you're not afraid of germs.
How do you know that?
I could tell some stories. I've seen you eat with your hands in India. So you're not a germ thing, but so it's like, I'm killing less trees by using less toilet paper.
Yeah. Well, and also I would say, the like cutout.
Yeah. Like the inserts.
Yeah. They never fit. So it's toilet paper every time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you do the same.
No, I'm a bare bum guy.
You just bare bum it.
Yeah. I trust my inner gut. I trust my skin.
As long as it's reasonably.
But what about everybody else's?
Here's the thing. Like, if we want to get really personal about toilet time, it's like the only thing I really am concerned about is not necessarily my behind touching the toilet seat. It's more about like if I'm sitting down to go to the bathroom, I'm worrying about my Johnson touching the toilet seat. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Beep, beep, beep. But I think
Johnson, I think that's that's a interesting term. But yeah, please
that
continue.
definitely kept it off the bleep radar. I think.
Yeah. I was trying to find a word that worked, but I think
we'll have to look that up. But go ahead.
I think if anything, I'll put a layer there.
Okay, so not your bum. You're not concerned about, but
no,
maybe there. Okay,
my bum goes lots of places without toilet paper touching it. I guess I don't know. I mean,
yeah, we do have an episode. A few episodes back where we describe why public restroom toilet seats are U-shaped. And they actually did a study back in the 50s on toilet seats, and they determined that cutting out that front part, it was more conducive, not for men, but for women. Less potential contact with the seat.
Okay.
And so it's actually written into the plumbing code in most cities and national standards that a public toilet seat must be a U shape.
Wow.
And if you don't, you get fined and,
So
that's exactly what, you're saying that exactly right. I don't know.
I will make sure.
I don't know what the feminine word for Johnson is, but it's toward that.
There are lots of words. I won't go there, but yeah. I will make sure that it's clean. So like I'll take toilet paper and make sure there's nothing on
you're
there.
Not just,
But I won't just like sit down and go, oh, this is wet. No, that's disgusting.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? I just remembered that actually my father taught me about this as well. So when he was 19, he lived in Norway for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. And his roommate, they were like really annoyed with each other, but they had an outhouse actually.
Oh, cool.
And he would, so he'd go out back and would like cut out newspapers. Like he'd cut out a hole and put it over there to like, cause it wasn't super clean. These are 19-year-old boys living there and whatever. Yeah. And this roommate of his, they didn't get along super well. But when my dad was leaving, and his roommate would always be like, don't leave the middle cutout. He would like leave it places or something. And it always disgusted this guy. And so when my dad left, he wrote him a note on the cutout.
Oh man. What did the note say? Do we know?
I don't know that. Or I'm not at liberty to share.
That's funny.
Okay, so public restroom, that makes sense. What if you're in a stranger's house? Like if you're at a party, like at somebody's home, I got to go use the restroom. Are you laying paper down there?
No.
You're not.
And I think about that too. I'm like, this is probably as dirty as anything, but it feels like it's home.
So, okay. So you don't have to know the person well. If it's inside a home, you're just like, you're not laying paper down.
Yeah. Generally. Okay. I mean, and especially, I guess, looking at the environment, has this been potentially cleaned in
if
the last.
it's non-public, well, if it's like maybe a private office or a private home, then you're good.
Ooh, gray area. I don't know.
Okay. Chris, are
Yeah.
you?
I just make sure it's clean and dry by making, running paper over it. If I definitely will go from like stall to stall to like.
No, I'm talking about somebody's house.
Okay. At someone's house. Yeah, I don't. I just go to the bathroom.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not even.
So it's like whether it's a friend or a neighbor.
In most cases, I don't sit when I pee. I'll stand.
No, we're talking about number two.
I know, but I'm just telling you. Like when I go to a friend's house and I have to go to number two, I try and avoid that as much as possible. I try and reserve that for like a home location.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, makes sense. Okay, you guys pass.
Okay. That means we can do the rest of the podcast.
Round 2 is, have you ever pooped in your pants since you've been potty trained?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And yes or no. And if you care to elaborate, that's fine too. If Chris?
This is really, I can really feel that the Pōōdcast content has evolved from episode to episode. I feel like this is great.
A little more intimate.
This is definitely more intimate. Darren, have you? You're not answering these questions?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I should answer the question too. That's probably fair. As far as toilet paper, yeah, I lay down a roll. But, I've been rethinking that lately, thinking, I'm wasting this valuable toilet paper, down the toilet, right? And yeah, as long as it's reasonably clean, why am I laying this? Like, I'm really thinking that whatever I'm afraid of in the bowl is going to jump through this paper, it's illogical, I think.
So here,
I think you should not lay a layer of toilet paper.
So I've actually,
it's a false sense of security.
And there was one thing that I read, right? There's a study about, and I don't have it, so I hate quoting studies that you don't have information about, but it's about like the comparison of how clean a toilet seat is versus how clean your cell phone is.
Oh yeah.
And in reality, your cell phone is more dirty and has more bacteria than a toilet seat.
That's true.
So I think about that constantly when I go to a public bathroom. I'm like, look, I'm holding my cell phone to my face, and I'm like, I might as well just sit on this toilet seat.
True.
So that was a study that gives me confidence.
No, the local company here in Provo, phone soap.
Yeah, phone soap.
Yeah,
you're right. Yes.
Yeah, they love that study.
Yeah, so that
they had
helped.
actual stats that show exactly that.
And so that's given me a lot of public bathroom confidence.
Yeah, that's good. That's
based on research.
Based on research.
Yeah, as far as pooping in my pants, though, I mean, yeah, plenty of times. I can't find. I mean, yeah, there's so many.
Oh wow.
There's like endless.
Like exercising, like jogging, what's the scenario?
Yeah, the one that I can tell you about that I remember most vividly. I was at college and I was dating a gal who was in a wheelchair. Some of the time she wasn't. She had arthritis, and she's young, she's 18, 19. And so some days when her arthritis was acting up, she had to sit in a wheelchair. And so we were going on a date night and I was pushing her in the wheelchair. And so this is at Rick's College way back when. And, all the restaurants were at the bottom of the hill and everybody lived, the college is up on the hill and all the dorms are above it, like way up, and so, and I had active bowels more, I was still trying to figure out what foods I could eat and, not have an immediate emergency and, still hadn't figured that out. Right. So we went down and ate dinner and I was about halfway through campus. Right. And, oh man, it was coming. Right. And I would push the wheelchair and then I would stop because, if I kept walking, it was going to come. And so she would kind of look around. Oh, Darren, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. And so I would, and then finally I'm like, okay, I'm not going to make it all the way to her. I was going to take her back to her dorm room. And I'm like, I'm just not going to make it. So
it wasn't downhill, so you could just let go.
I know. No, I couldn't just jump in the bushes, right? Because I was still trying to impress her. Like, I'm all cool. And so I knew, I was walking past the science building. I had a lot of classes in that building, and I knew there was a bathroom right inside. So I'm like, hey, I'm just going to go in the bathroom real quick and, put her in park. And I run over, all the doors are locked. It's like after 10 o'clock, all the buildings
you think you're going to be able to release, and then the door's locked.
And then I come back and she's like, is everything okay? And I'm like, oh yeah, everything's fine, So I keep on going. And finally I get all the way to her dorm room. I'm sweating, right? and she's like, and I think she could tell something was up. And so she's like, oh, why don't you just use her bathroom? And so I look, and these little dorm rooms, you got the living room, and then there's this little sliding door, and all her roommates are in there watching a movie. And so she's like, oh, you can just use this bathroom. It's a little sliding door, and I could see the toilet. Mm-hmm. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to destroy this entire apartment, And I'm like, I'm good. I'll call you later. So I started running. So running across,
like the penguin walk.
Yeah. And it was sort of like, I had to slow down when the urge came, it's kind of like, I've never had a baby, but it was like holding that baby in, it was the opposite of pushing. It was, clenching. Right. And so I got to a point where I could see my dorm room, and I'm down the street. And, when that urge comes, and after a few seconds, it sort of passes, right? And then you can go on. And this time it came, and my sphincter was done. And download all down if you ever jumped into a vat of chocolate.
Your face looks like you're really enjoying this.
Yeah. So I kept on thinking, well, maybe I'll jump into these bushes or whatever. And it was kind of a humbling experience, just filled all the way down. And so then I started running, and I left a little trail down the hall into the bathroom.
I need to verify these details. I don't know.
Yeah.
Seems like this.
Anyways, just of course, what do you do? I went into I'm back in those dorm rooms. There was the we had a common bathroom, right? All the dorms had, you had this long hallway, and then they had the common bathroom, right? And so I immediately go into the stall, and I'm like, what am I going to do in this stall? Like I just took off all my clothes.
Oh yeah.
And just threw them in the garbage. Because they were like, no way I'm going to wash these out, right? And then I immediately, luckily it was like 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. Nobody was around, thankfully. And so nobody could see the disaster that I left in the stall. And so I jump in the shower real quick, hose myself off, totally naked. And then I look down the hallway. Nobody's in the dorm. And so I run down the hallway. Luckily, my dorm room was unlocked. And I got in there. And then immediately as I closed the door, I hear some of my friends, they would say, holy crap, who left this disaster in the back? They discovered, what I had left, but yeah, that was, you talk about life-changing experiences, right? That was sort of a life-changing one for me. But
wow.
Anyway, yeah, so that's probably too much more detail than you wanted to hear, but
no.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah, that ranks
the
up there.
The listeners are
out of the top 10 or 20, that one's up there, I'd say.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So
any more questions?
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So one question I did have in the news, I'm sure you guys have been watching the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, which has recently concluded. Johnny Depp won, although there was kind of a mixed verdict. He got 15 million, she got 2, and so it's kind of a net. Anyway, who do you believe?
So I haven't really,
as when it comes to the poop story, the poop,
right?
The poop was a critical piece of evidence in the trial.
Yeah.
Was it Amber's poop, or was it the little dog Boo Boo's poop on the bed? And that was a hotly debated issue in the trial.
So I only heard about that detail, or I first heard about that detail through SNL.
Okay.
So I don't know if that like kind of taints.
I mean, it's true.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the rest of it,
I haven't seen it yet. I mean, I should watch it.
oh yeah. The rest of it, I've heard also secondhand, just talking to people. I haven't read about it or like watched any of the trial.
Okay.
So I don't know, from the people that I've talked to,
Okay.
they think that Johnny wins.
So they think that it's Amber's
Yeah.
poop. Okay. Do you have an opinion, Chris, or you decline to answer based on legal?
Yeah. Based on
question.
No, I think I did watch a lot of TikToks and Instagrams about the trial. It's because if you watch like a few videos, they just give you more. But based on what I saw in the trial, I feel like she was definitely capable of doing something like that. I don't think it was, and I think I also heard that it did not look like dog fecal matter. It looked like human fecal matter. And
There's a difference, yeah.
And so, and being a bulldog breeder, I'm fairly familiar with dog excrement.
Okay, they should have called you as an expert witness.
I should have.
Trial.
We've got a fair amount of, we have 7 bulldogs, and so we got a lot of bulldog excrement. But so that's what I heard.
Okay,
and I think that was part of the argument as well. But
okay,
I'm definitely Team Johnny.
Okay, and maybe we'll never know, right? Hard to say.
Never know.
Right? But anyway, that's just a current event. I thought I'd get your opinion on. So anyway, wanted to talk a little bit more about.
She did her duty.
What's that? Oh,
she did her duty. Yeah,
exactly
she did
right.
Her duty.
Wanted to take the opportunity to talk about 2 things. One is what are your plans with Ethik for the future? Because we want to try to highlight that as well.
Oh, great.
And then the other is, what keeps drawing you back to, why are you on the Pōōdcast?
Oh,
maybe you can answer that one first. Why are you coming on the Pōōdcast? Because we've been tracking you down for a long time. But and I know this is something that actually, ZuLoo wouldn't even be around. What we're doing in India with Team Sapid wouldn't be happening if you hadn't laid that groundwork way back in 2011, and again in 2019, So that's something that, whenever we talk about ZuLoo or Sapid, I mean, you're always in that picture, whether you want to be or not.
I always want to be in the ZuLoo picture.
Yeah. So maybe talk about maybe talk about the issues you see with toilets, because I know you're an advocate of women, an advocate of women's issues. How does that relate to toilets, and what drove you in the first place to sort of get involved in that field, and then maybe we talk about Ethik and what you're doing there.
Yeah. So a couple of background things. One is that I grew up with 4 brothers and a father who thought that potty humor was really funny.
Okay.
And I feel like this is going to be released to the world, and I am giggling the whole time, and I'm 38 and I can't not laugh at all things potty related.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, and I think that this is like a globally funny thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Across cultures, there's like funniness surrounding this.
Yeah.
And so there's that.
Okay.
But I did a master's in public health.
Dad had a lot of potty jokes.
Oh yeah.
Growing up. Okay.
Yeah. And just hanging with the boys. That's
okay.
What we thought was funny.
Yeah.
So, but I did a master's in public health, and really getting to know public health on the global scene.
Yep.
Sanitation is one of the most widespread, and it's an issue that is treatable, and there are issues that we focus on globally that we're putting a ton of money into, and sanitation is like a high leverage issue that infused with resources can save lives. Diarrheal disease is the number one killer of children under the age of 5 globally. And then just as you get to know communities in places that do not have access, this is a big part of people's lives. So it's like the funniest issue paired with the most dead serious, important issue that has solutions. Like there's global problems that are really complex and hard to think of solutions that can be leveraged, whether that's because the resources are not there or, what's happening geopolitically or et cetera. There are some really complicated issues. This is one that can be worked at. And with small implementations, like huge changes can be made. So it's a cool space to be in. And I love what ZuLoo has done in bringing this to light for people to know that like this is incredibly serious and something that deserves our attention and our resources. And so you studied public health, and then when after that you became acquainted with I know you've been all over the world, Uganda, India. You sort of not only studied it, but then also went out and saw it firsthand. Yeah. Right. And what countries did you at what point did it kind of dawn on you that, oh, wow, okay, toilets are important? Yeah. In Uganda, I've been working there consistently over the last 13 years and I work with female artisans there. Right. And most have shared public latrines. And again, it's a big part of their lives. This was last time I was in Uganda. I think it was 3 years ago now, because COVID's kind of created this long time since I've been there. And one evening we were dropping off some of our leadership for the organization at their homes. And there's one woman named Kathy that's been with our organization for several years. And I knew where she lived, and I'd been to her home. She has 6 children, 3 sets of twins. Whoa. Yeah. And I knew where her home was, and I'd been there with her kids, and we dropped her off at a different place. And I was like, wait, what is this? And she said she'd been promoted to a leadership position and was making more money. And everybody was like kind of cheering, and they were saying something in Lugandan. And I was like, what is it? And they were like, she has a flushing toilet. And they were like cheering about that. And she was very proud of that. Yeah. And because that is a step forward, like that is the status symbol. Sure. But then just also like ensuring greater quality health. Of life. Yeah. She has running water. Yeah. So how that affects washing, cooking, and she had a flushing toilet. And so they were all cheering for her, whereas the majority of the women in our workshop do not have that access. Okay. Oh. And so time and time again, it's been experiences like this that are like, this is a central issue to people's lives that's not being addressed generally. Yeah, I remember when we went to India and we went and visited families that had received toilets years previously, and we asked them what was life like before the toilet and what is life like now. And I remember one of the little girls saying, I don't even remember what it was like before, right? Whereas we'd been hearing stories about girls who had issues with menstruation issues because they were holding it, and constipation issues because they were holding, just different issues that they had because they didn't have a quick and easy access to a bathroom. And I think, Melissa, just all the humanitarian efforts that you'd been involved in over the years, like sharing that knowledge with us and helping us kind of find the right partners to deliver the right solution, where you look at like the right toilet, and not just a toilet, but also clean water, which is the example you brought up. Like those two things are super critical, and we take it for granted. And I think
what you were saying, I think with, COVID, for 2 years, stats were put in our faces constantly on the news about how many people were being affected by COVID. And, us here at ZuLoo were like, well, it's funny because children in other countries at the same rates are being affected by something that we can solve. We don't even need to invent or put billions of dollars into a vaccine to try and prevent some of this. We just need to put time and energy into helping provide plumbing and sanitation to people across the globe, and we can do a lot. Mm-hmm. And so I think, it's exactly your points. It's just there's a lot that can be done that's more a simple solution that we can do, and I think that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and most of the focus is on clean water. There's plenty of people out there doing clean water, and but there is a statistic that says, I think it was the British Medical Association said that there's a toilet has twice the health impact on a family or on a people than does clean water. But clean water gets 8 times the amount of funding. And you have to have both, right? You have to have clean water, you have to have toilets, right? But toilets aren't as sexy as other topics, right?
Until ZuLoo came around.
Until
right. ZuLoo makes it sexy.
That's right.
Jack Sim, Mr. Toilet, he's always like, we have to make toilets sexy, his accent. But so you were talking about, you're seeing this in Uganda, seeing this in India, and then at some point I think it was that initial trip where you called your brother Sean. What was that? What was that? What caused you to all of a sudden say, hey, I think this is something we need to do?
I had a colleague in the organization that I was working for that we went to Uganda and India with.
Okay.
And he knew Kwaku, who is the Ghanaian engineer that created this model of toilets, of
Earthworm-driven toilet.
Yes. And so I had known about that, and they had tried to implement it in a few places. And as you guys now know, there's a lot to it, to understanding the water table and really finding an organization that can champion these to be, the soil model needs to be made specifically
for that area.
Yes. Yeah. Like what resources are there, what materials are there.
Because it has to be built a certain way.
What's the environment like?
Sean has always talked about, hey, it has to be a certain structure based on the water table. But it's not just like, oh, let's throw some earthworms in a hole. And it's more complicated than that.
Right. It's not just a template that can go everywhere.
I mean, it's simple technology, but it is a specific system.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, you
kind of heard of that, but then
you found Kwaku and then
as I was preparing to take this team to India, and then just like reading up about some of the major public health issues in India, and toilet access is a huge one. And so so that was this like.
And you said, okay, we're going to go and build some toilets in these communities. Okay.
And knowing that they had not worked in several places, I was like, someone needs to like have that engineering brain to be able to take this.
I know an engineer.
Yeah. And Sean, I mean, since he was a just teeny kid, he's a tinkerer. He's taking things apart, like figuring out how things work. And so, I just thought that would be so fun.
Yeah. Well, and he's your brother, so it'll be fun to.
Yeah, we have a great time together, and
he said yes, and you guys went, built them, and that's awesome. Well, we're grateful that you guys did that, and glad that you guys are continuing to be involved with ZuLoo. I know you got a lot of things. You got a new baby. You've got Ethik, right? And Ethik has. I'm super impressed with Ethik because it employs so many women. I mean, these women that have. I mean, we talk about toilets, right? But there's so many other issues: economic opportunity, rising themselves out of poverty. Obviously, if they had enough money, they could, I'll go build a toilet and I'll have all these things. But what I like about Ethik is like you guys are able to help them elevate themselves economically, right? So
the handmade sector, sure. Yeah. So the handmade sector is the second largest employer of people in the developing world, second only to agriculture.
Wow.
And it's the number one employer of women in the developing world.
Okay.
And so we're talking about hundreds of millions of people in this sector that their livelihood is based on
Making
crafting
with
something.
their hands.
Yeah.
Cool.
And therefore, it is an opportunity, another high leverage opportunity to connecting these really talented artisans with the market, because that's one of the biggest issues they face is having market access. Or
they could make these things, but how do they get them? They can't just sell them on the street, or like, I guess
or
they
if
could,
they do, that it's based on tourism seasons, and so it's a seasonal thing.
Right.
If something like a global shutdown happens, they're completely cut off from how they can sell their goods, and so that was really interesting through 2020 as we were.
How did you guys navigate that?
It was wild, the global logistics.
Yeah.
But for example, one group that we work closely with is in Palestine, and they are olive wood workers. And so just make beautiful cutting boards, bowls, spoons, just really beautiful handcrafted items out of wood that they actually don't cut down any trees. It's only wood that's been pruned from these olive trees. So some of the trees are like 1,000 years old, but they're just, and that's according to the laws in Palestine. They don't cut down trees to use the wood. And we work with this group. We started working with them. It was actually my last trip. I went there the end of February 2020.
Okay.
So flew there on a full flight, came back 2 weeks later on a pretty empty flight as countries were shutting down.
Right.
And especially in the Holy Land, like they subsist on tourism, selling their goods. And so they still are like, don't really have tourists much there now. It's definitely not returned to how it was before, but especially through 2020, 2021, these workshops, which many of these carvers have been doing this for generations. So it is this cultural heritage that they're keeping alive. And many of these, and they're all family workshops. So we visited several of them. We'd go and sit in their front room, and then in the back room or in the basement would be their workshop.
Wow.
And the organization we work with is a cooperative that brings together all of these home-based workshops. And so many of them were on the brink of just closing down and not being able to open again. It was, they would have to find other ways of making ends meet. And we were really lucky. We worked with a company here. So we connect these artisan groups with companies. So we only do B2B sales or wholesale, connecting these artisan groups with companies. And a company placed an order of 100,000 handmade olive wood massage tools.
Wow.
And that
Kept
order,
them going.
I remember when we called our partner there, her name is Basma, and called her and said, "Hey, we just had this order come in. You might want to sit down." I told her this. I told her the quantity, and she said, with some emotion in her voice, she said, "It's like this order came from the sky."
That's cool.
And it was able to keep many of these workshops open for, actually, the last part of this shipment is arriving in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, wow.
So
That's cool.
It's been over that span of time that they created this large order that really kept them moving during the global shutdown. So that was really cool.
It's awesome. I know you've been working on Ethik for a while, and there's the power of just helping connect people to the market. That's awesome. You guys are doing that.
Yeah, it's
cool.
fun because it's like it's not like charity work. It's like
Work.
It's work. It's when I'm on an airplane somewhere and there people are like, "Oh, are you here doing charity?" I'm like, "No, I'm doing business."
Yeah.
We are connecting really talented artisans
Right.
with beautiful handcraft to the global market.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's what we're doing. So
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's great. If you found that sort of niche where you're using, business, and it's like a social enterprise, but it's obviously profitable, but yeah, at the same time, you're you're helping eliminate people out of poverty without just saying, oh, here's,
right. And
here's a gift or here's a donation or something like that.
And another thing I like about it is that you're cutting out the middleman, right? So you're actually able to give more margin to the artisans than what they were able to get before, right?
Yes, yeah. So we work directly with the artisans. We ensure fair payment. So we have like a pretty rigorous system to understand what is fair pay, and so that we can ensure that that's going down to even the like, we're working with groups, making sure that even what groups are paying to their artisans is fair pay,
Awesome.
and a livable wage.
Right.
That's really important to
That's super awesome.
what we're doing.
No, I'm excited. Ethik is we'll put a link to Ethik in our show notes. And
Sweet, thanks.
And yeah, so we're excited. We definitely, when we go to Nigeria, we need to hop over to Uganda and
That'd be cool.
It's a long hop. I mean,
it's a long hop.
But
you think like, you're in Africa. It's like saying, oh, I'm in North America. I might as well head on over to New York or something. Yeah. But anyway, we're so honored to have you on the show, Melissa. We're super. We've got Sean and Melissa. We got the bookends now.
That's right.
Hope to have you on again.
Oh, okay.
Maybe you could do like a bro-sis.
Bro-sis
show.
combo.
That'd be fun. Yeah. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of good jokes.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Jokes.
Yeah, we need to pull out all old dad's toilet jokes and
That's right.
pull them out of the closet. But so as we and again, we talked to Sean about going to Peru, and as we continue to and obviously continue to work with SAPID in India, which is as we were talking about earlier today about finding similar partners in Peru. It's easier said than done. And so, but yeah, I mean, it's just something that using that SAPID model, some of those same systems of accountability and of grassroots involvement and all of that, we hope to take that and continue to replicate that same model in these other areas.
Yeah, we talked about it today, as we're looking at developing these toilets for Peru. A lot of the work that you did to find SAPID as a partner and all of the different learnings that you shared with us around how to make it a successful implementation. Because sometimes you can give something or do something and there isn't that system of support or that responsibility that's taken on by the folks. And I think, we stepped in because of your experience into a working system. And so now as we're exploring other places, it's how do we find that same working system to have the same success that we're having in India right now. And so that's what we're going to try and do in Peru, is try and figure out how to make that happen and find partners and enable communities in the right way. And that's something that you've always helped us do. And so we'll probably knock on your door and ask you for some advice here as we get closer to it. So.
Awesome. I mean, I told you that I'm on a 260-day Spanish streak on Duolingo.
Oh, nice.
So,
what better place than Peru to practice Duolingo skills?
Oh, man.
They
I
do
just
speak
freeze
Spanish.
up whenever I try to talk to
So
anybody.
Have you learned any bathroom words?
Only El Baño.
El baño.
That's it.
Inodoro,
No, I didn't know. I don't even know that one yet.
the toilet,
Oh, okay.
one of these. Have we given you one of these new?
No. Wow.
Thank you for being on
That's
the
amazing.
Pōōdcast, and as a gift.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You've
It's very
given us
nice
so much
gesture.
more. The least we could do is give you a toilet.
And el water.
Is that another?
Yeah, another Spanish toilet, el water.
Wow. I thought you were just saying water instead of agua.
I was trying to say it with my best Spanish accent. Yeah,
Okay.
el water.
I was like, I think that's agua.
Yeah.
I know that one.
Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, but thanks for coming on. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us on the podcast. And we hope to see you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to the ZuLoo Pōōdcast. Follow us on social media at our links in the show notes below. To learn more, visit our website, ZuLoo.org. If you liked the podcast, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. For even more Zulu fun, send us an email with your toilet stories to podcast@zulu.com for a chance to be featured on the podcast. This episode of the ZuLoo Pōōdcast is sponsored by ZuLoo Inc., a benefit corporation dedicated to the goal of universal access to toilets, hygiene, clean water and sanitation through the power of social enterprise. Learn more at ZuLoo.com.